ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Namaste, my dear friends. I start video number 18 on Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi's book Talks with Ramana Maharshi. I start with talk number 301. A gentleman enthusiastically recounted several of his experiences on following Sri Bhagwan's instructions and incidentally mentioned that he and Sri Bhagwan were both born on the same day of the week and bore the same name. Sri Bhagwan completed it, adding the same self is in both. Talk number 302. A young man from Trichy asked Sri Bhagwan on the mention in Upadesa Manjari of Atenta Vairagyam, total dispassion as the qualification of a ripe disciple. He continued, what is Vairagya? Detachment from worldly pursuits and desire for salvation. Is it not so, Maharshi, who has not got it? Each one seeks happiness but is misled into thinking pain associated pleasures as happiness. Such happiness is transient. His mistaken activity gives him short-lived pleasure. Pain and pleasure alternate with one another in the world. To discriminate between the pain-producing and pleasure-producing matters and to confine oneself to the happiness-producing pursuit only is vairagya. What is it that will not be followed by pain? He seeks it and engages in it. Otherwise, the man has one foot in the world and another foot in the spiritual pursuit without progressing satisfactorily in either field. A question was again raised regarding the function of the Guru. Maharshi, because the man is not able to help himself, finding himself too weak, he seeks more strength in the shape of a Guru. Talk number 303. Mr. K.R.V. Iyer sought more light on Nada sound. Mercy, he who meditates on it feels it. There are 10 kinds of nadas. After the final thundering nada, the man gets laya. That is his natural and eternal state. Nada, Jyoti or inquiry thus take on to the same point. The former are indirect and the last is direct. Devotee, the mind becomes peaceful for a short while and again emerges forth. What is it to be done? Mercy, the peace often gained must be remembered at other times. That peace is your natural and permanent state. By continuous practice, it will become natural. That is called the current. That is your true nature. Now, the 40 jumps, etc., imply the existence of Tripati, the triads of cognizer, cognition, and the cognized. The current resulting from investigation for the self is a Shuddha Tripati or pure triad, that is to say, undifferentiated triad. 26th December 1936, talk number 304. A Swiss lady described a Photism she had to Sri Bhagwan. While she was sitting with her eyes wide open, she saw Sri Bhagwan's face becoming cherub-like and draped in glorious flowers. She was drawn in love towards that childlike face. Maharshi, the vision is in your mind, your love is the cause. Paul Brunton saw me as a giant figure. You saw me you saw me like a child, both are visions. The lady said, Paul Brunter asked me if I had any spiritual experience here and denied it. Now this happens. Maharshi, do not be deceived by visions. Devotee, if one is miles away in Europe and invokes your aid, Maharshi, where is Europe? It is in you. Devotee, I have come here. I would like Maharshi to come there, saying it. She laughed gently, silence for some minutes. Maharshi, you see the physical body and so you find limitations. Time and space operate on this plan. So long as you think of the gross body, there will be differences found as different bodies. On the other hand, knowledge of the real Maharshi will set all doubts at rest. Are you in India now, or is India in you? Even now, this notion that you are in India must go. India is in you. In order to verify it, look to your sleep. Did you feel that you were in Europe or in India while asleep? You were nevertheless existing then the same as now. Space is in you. The physical body is in space but not you. Paul Brunton had his eyes closed when he saw the vision, whereas you had your eyes open, you say. Devotee, yes, but I have never had vision, whereas he is a psychic. After a few minutes, he asked if it is an advantage or a disadvantage to see visions like this. Maharshi, it is an advantage. Sri Bhagwan continued. Probably you had been thinking of a child and that appeared in the vision. Devotee, yes, only of Shiva of his childlike face. Maharshi, that's it. But devotee, but Shiva is the destroyer, meaning not a child. Mercy, yes, of sorrows. After a few minutes, Bhagwan continued, you will shortly go to sleep. When you wake up in the morning, you will say, I slept well and happily. What happened in sleep is your real nature that continues now too. Otherwise, it will not be your real nature. Get the state of sleep. Even now, it is Shiva. Have we got a form? Find that out before you think of Shiva's form. Did you not exist in sleep? Were you aware of any form then? Were you with form in your sleep? You existed all the same. The I which was in sleep is also now present. You were not the body according to your sleep experience. You are the same now. That is without the body. Being without the body, you were happy too in sleep. You are the same now too. That which is enduring must alone be real nature. There was no body but only experience of happiness in sleep. That endures now too. The self is bodiless. If you are thus without body, how can Shiva be with body? If you are with body, Shiva also is with body. If you are not, he also is not a devotee. Why is he then Shiva? Maharshi, Shiva means embodiment of happiness, of auspiciousness. She was very pleased after a time she left. Talk number 305. The visitors were talking among themselves, and one of them said, we, those familiar with our traditional teachings, are unable to follow these teachings, meaning Sri Bhagwan's. How can the foreigners unfamiliar with our ways follow Sri Bhagwan's teaching so easily? He seemed to sympathize with their attempts to understand us in spite of their handicaps and also to pity them for want of proper equipment. Sri Bhagwan remarked finally, visions are better than no visions. They get interested in that way. They do not take to foreign ideas when once they do it, they stick on so much for their merit. Sri Bhagwan later referred to Shivaprakasam Pillai's vision. Visions are not external, they appear only internally. If external, they must assert themselves without there being a seer. In that case, what is the warranty for their existence? The seer only Talk number 306, devotee. There is something concrete necessary to meditate upon. How shall we meditate upon? Maharshi, we have become rooted in forms, and so we require a concrete form for meditating upon. Only that which we contemplate will in the end remain over. When you contemplate, the other thoughts disappear. So long as you need to contemplate, there are other thoughts. Where are you contemplate? Because you exist, for the contemplator must contemplate. The contemplation can only be where he is. Contemplation, the words of all other thoughts. You should merge yourself in the source. At times we merge in the source unconsciously, as in sleep, death, swoon, etc. What is contemplation? It is merging into the source consciously. Then the fear of death, of swoon, etc. will disappear, because you are able to merge into the source consciously. Why fear death? Death cannot mean non-being. Why do you love sleep but not death? Do you not think now? Are you not existing now? Did you not exist in your sleep? Even a child says that it slept well and happily. It admits its existence in sleep unconsciously, though, so consciousness is our true nature. We cannot remain unconscious. We, however, say that we were unconscious in our sleep, because we refer to qualified consciousness. The world, the body, etc. are so embedded in us that this relative consciousness is taken to be the self. Does anyone say in his sleep that he is unconscious? He says so now. This is the state of relative consciousness. Therefore, he speaks of relative consciousness and not of abstract consciousness. The consciousness is beyond relative consciousness or unconsciousness. Again, reverting to Trivachagam, Sri Bhagwan said, all the four foremost saints have given out their experiences in the very first stanza. Number one, undifferentiated worship. Number two, never failing remembrance. Three, unrisen thought. Fourth, the ego is not, the self is. All means the same, devotee, but this truth is not realized. Mercy, it will be realized in due course. Till then, there is devotion, bhakti. Even for a trice, you do not leave my mind. Does does he leave you any moment? It is you who allow your mind to wander away. He remains always steady. When your mind is fixed, you say, he does not leave my mind even for a trice. How ridiculous! 27th December 1936, talk number 307. Mr. Shamanna from Mysore asked Sri Bhagwan, kindly explain Aham Sapurna, the light of I. Maharshi. I is not known in sleep on waking. I is perceived associated with the body, the world, and non-self in general. Such associated I is Aham Virti. When Aham represents the self only, it is Aham Sapurna. This is natural to the Jnani and is itself called Jnana by Jnani or Bhakti by Bhaktas. Though ever present, including in sleep, it is not perceived. It cannot be known in sleep all at once. It must first be realized in the waking state, for it is our true nature underlying all the three states. Efforts must be made only in the Jagrata state and the self realized here and now. It will afterwards be understood and realized to be continuous self, uninterrupted by Jagrata, Swapna and Susupti. Thus it is Akhandakara Virti, unbroken experience. Virti is used for lack of a better expression. It should not be understood to be literally a virti. In that case, virti will resemble an ocean-like river, which is absurd. Virti is of short duration. It is qualified directed consciousness or absolute consciousness broken up by cognition of thoughts, senses, etc. Virti is the function of the mind where the continuous consciousness transcends the mind. This is the natural primal state of the jnani or the liberated being. That is unbroken experience. It asserts itself when relative consciousness subsides. Aham virti, I thought, is broken. Aham sapurnam, the light of I is unbroken, continuous. After the thoughts subside, the light shines forth. 31st December 1936, talk number 308. A question was asked regarding untouchability. Sri Bhagwan said the non-self is untouchable. The social untouchability is man-made, whereas the other untouchability is natural and divine. Devotee, should the untouchable be allowed into our temples, Maharshi? There are others to decide it. A question was asked regarding the avatars of Vishnu, Maharshi. Let us know our own avatara. The knowledge of the other avatars will follow. Again, there was a question on Ishvara, Maharshi. Existence of Ishvara follows from our conception of Ishvara. Let us first know the whose concept he is. The concept will be only according to the one who conceives. Find out who you are and the other problems will solve itself. 1st January 1937, talk number 309. Devotee, what is the difference between Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahma, and Brahmave Ahem, only Brahma I am? Mercy, the former is Pratyaksha Vrati, direct experience, whereas the latter is Proksha Jnana, indirect knowledge. The first begins with the realization of Ahem I, whereas the latter starts with the hearsay Brahma, which cannot be apart from the self if the same has been realized. Talk number 310. Mr. Greenlees, after leaving this ashramam in October, I was aware of Bhagwan's peace enfolding me for about 10 days. All the time while busy in work, there was an undercurrent of what peace of unity. It was almost like the dual consciousness while half asleep in a dull lecture. Then it faded away entirely and the old stupidities came in instead. Work leaves no time for separate. Meditation is the constant reminder I am trying to feel it while actually at work. Enough. Maharshi, it will become constant when the mind becomes strengthened. Repeated practice strengthens the mind, and such mind is capable of holding on to the current. In that case, engagement in work or no engagement, the current remains unaffected and uninterrupted. Devotee, no separate meditation is necessary. Maharshi, meditation is your true nature now. You call it meditation because there are other thoughts distracting you. When these thoughts are dispelled, you remain alone. That is in the state of meditation, free from thoughts, and that is your real nature, which you are now attempting to gain by keeping away other thoughts. Such keeping away of other thoughts is now called meditation. When the practice becomes firm, the real nature shows itself as the true meditation. Other thoughts arise more forcibly when you attempt meditation. There was immediately a chorus of questions by a few others. Sri Maharshi continued, yes, all kinds of thoughts arise in meditation. It is but right. What lies hidden in you is brought out unless they rise up. How can they be destroyed? They therefore rise up spontaneously in order to be extinguished in due course, thus to strengthen the mind. a visitor. All are said to be Brahma, Maharshi. Yes, they are, but so long as you think that they are apart, they are to be avoided. If, on the other hand, they are found to be self, there is no need to say all, for all that exists is only Brahma. There is nothing besides Brahma. Devotee Ribhu Gita speaks of so many objects as unreal, adding at the end that they are all Brahma and thus real. Maharshi, yes, when you see them as so many, they are asat, that is unreal, whereas when you see them as Brahma, they are real, deriving their reality from their substratum Brahma. Devotee, why then does Upadesa Sara speak of the body, etc., as a jada, that is insentient? Maharshi, inasmuch as you say that they are body, etc., apart from the self, but when the self is found, this body, etc., are also found to be in it. Afterwards, no one will ask the question and no one will say that they are insentient. Devotee, Viveka is said to be discrimination between the self and the non-self. What is the non-self, Maharshi? There is no non-self. In fact, the non-self also exists in the self. It is the self which speaks of the non-self because it has forgotten itself, having lost hold of itself. It conceives something as a non-self, which is after all nothing but itself. Then the discussion between the protagonists of various theories became warm. 2nd January 1937, talk number 311. The I which rises will also subside, that is the individual I or the I concept. That which does not rise will not subside, it is and will be forever. That is the universal I, the perfect I or realization of the self. At 5:30 p.m. the Swiss lady complains to Sri Bhagwan that she gets a headache if meditation be prolonged for some time. Mercy, if the meditator and meditation be understood to be the same, there will be no headache or similar complaints. Devotee, but they are different. How shall we concede that to be the same? Mercy, that is due to your outlook. There is only one and there are no differences. On meditation, the relative consciousness will vanish. That is not annihilation, for absolute consciousness arises. The Bible itself says the kingdom of heaven is within you. If you consider yourself to be the body, there is some difficulty in understanding the statement. On the other hand, if you know who you really are, the kingdom of heaven and all are included in your true self. They are concepts arising after the ego has risen. Drishtim jnanamayam kartva pashyate brahmayam jagat. Direct your look within and make it absolute. With that absolute awareness realized, look without and you will realize the universe to be not apart from the realized absolute. Because your outlook is externally directed, you speak of a without. In that state, you are advised to look within. This within is related to the without you are seeking. In fact, the self is neither without nor within. Speaking of heaven, one thinks of it as above or below, within or without. Since one is accustomed to relative knowledge, one seeks only objective knowledge, and hence these ideas. Really speaking, there is neither up nor down, neither in nor out. If they were real, they must be present in dreamless sleep also. For what is real must be continuous and permanent. Did you feel in or out in sleep? Of course not. Devotee, I do not remember. Maharshi, if there was anything there that could be remembered, but you admit your existence then. The same self is now speaking. The self who was undifferentiated in sleep is differentiated in the present state and sees the diversity. The real existence is the only one devoid of objective knowledge, that is absolute consciousness, that is the state of happiness as admitted by all of us. That state must be brought about even in this waking state. It is called Jagrata Susupti, that is Mukti. Devotee, the ego is the one which incarnates. Mercy, yes, but what is incarnation? The ego remains the same. New bodies appear and hold it. The ego does not change, it does not leave one body, seek and find another. Just see what happens even to your gross body. Suppose you go to London, how do you do it? You take a conveyance, go to the docks, board the steamer, and reach London in a few days. What has happened? The conveyances had moved, but not your body. Still, you say that you traveled from one part of the globe to the other. The movement of the conveyances have been superimposed on your body. Similarly, also with your ego, the reincarnations are superimpositions. For example, what happens in a dream? Do you go to the dream world or does it occur in you? Surely the latter. Just the same with incarnations. The ego remains changeless all along. Again, there is no time and space in your sleep. They are concepts which arise after the I thought has arisen. Before the rise of the I thought, the concepts are absent. Therefore, you are beyond time and space. The I thought is only limited. I, the real I, is unlimited, universal, beyond time and space. They are absent in sleep, just on rising up from sleep and before seeing the objective world. There is a state of awareness which is in your pure self that must be known. Devotee, but I do not realize it, Maharshi. It is not an object to be realized. You are that. Who is there to realize and what? Talk number 312. Mr. V.K. Cholkar of Pune. It is said, know thyself or see who the I in you is. What is the way to do it? Is it by simply repeating the mantra mechanically all along, or have you to do it remembering every moment why you are repeating the mantra, Maharshi? You are always repeating the mantra automatically if you are not aware of the ajapa unspoken chant which is eternally going on. You should take two japa. Japa is made with an effort. The effort is meant to ward of other thoughts. Then the japa becomes mental and internal. Finally, its ajapa and eternal nature will be realized, for it will be found to be going on even without your effort. The effortless state is the state of realization. Mr. Cholkar again requested instructions from a practical point of view that is suitable to him. Maharshi, it is not external and therefore need not be sought elsewhere. It is internal and also eternal. It is always realized, but you say you are not aware. It requires constant attention to itself. No other effort is necessary. Your effort is only meant not to allow yourself to be distracted by other thoughts. The person was satisfied. Talk number 313, Mr. Greenlees. Bhagwan said yesterday that one is engaged in search for God within, outer work would go on automatically. In the life of Sri Chaitanya, it is explained that while he sought Krishna, the self, during his lectures to students, he forgot where his body was and went on talking of Krishna. This rouses doubts whether work can safely be left to itself should one keep part attention on the physical work. Maharshi, the self is all. Now I ask you, are you apart from the self? Can the work go on apart from the self? Or is the body apart from the self? None of them could be apart from the self. The self is universal, so all the actions will go on whether you engage in them voluntarily or not. The work will go on automatically. Attending to the self includes attending to the work. Devotee, the work may suffer if I do not attend to it. Maharshi, because you identify yourself with the body, you consider that the work is done by you, but the body and its activities, including the work, are not apart from the self. What does it matter whether you attend to the work or not? Suppose you walk from one place to another place. You do not attend every single step that you take. After a time, however, you find yourself at your destination. You notice how the work that is walking goes on without your attention to it. Similarly, it is with other kinds of work. Devotee, then it is like a sleeping, walking. Maharshi, quiet so when a child is fast asleep, his mother feeds him in sleep. The child eats the food quiet as well as when well awake. But the next morning he says to the mother, Mother, I did not take food last night. The mother and others know that he did, but he says that he did not. He was not aware, and yet the action had gone on. Somnambulism is indeed a good analogy for this kind of work. Take another example. A passenger in a cart has fallen asleep. The bulls move or stand still or are unyoked on the journey. He does not know these occurrences but finds himself in a different place after he wakes up. He has been blissfully ignorant of the occurrences on the way, but his journey has been finished. Similarly, with the self of the person, he is asleep in the body. His waking state is the moment of the bulls. His samadhi is there standing still because samadhi is agrat susupti. That is to say, he is aware of but not attached to actions. So the bulls are in harness but do not move. His sleep is the unyoking of the bulls, for there is complete suspension of activities corresponding to the release of the bulls from the yoke. Still another example, scenes are projected on the screen in a cinema show, but the moving pictures do not affect or alter the screen. The seer pays attention to the pictures and ignores the screen. They cannot remain apart from the screen, still its existence is ignored, or also the self is the screen on which the pictures, namely activities, are going on. The man is aware of the latter, ignoring the former. All the same, he is not apart from the self. Whether aware or unaware, the actions will continue. There is an operator in the cinema. Devotee, there is an operator in the cinema. Maharshi, the cinema show is made out of insentient materials. The screen, the pictures, lamp, etc. are insentient and require an operator, a sentient agent. In the case of the self, it is consciousness itself and therefore self-contained. There cannot be an operator apart. Devotee protested that he did not confuse the body with the operator as the above answer would imply. Massive, the functions of the body were kept in mind involving the need for the operator. Because there is the body is jada object, an operator, a sentient agent is necessary. Because people think that they are jivas, Sri Krishna has said that God resides in the heart as the operator of the jivas. In fact, there are no jivas and no operator. The self comprises all. It is the screen, the pictures, the seer, the actor, the operator, the light, and all else. You're confounding it with you're confounding it with the body, and imagining yourself as the actor amounts to the seer being represented as an actor in a cinema picture. Imagine the actor in the picture asking if he could enact a scene without the screen. Such is the case of the man who thinks of his acting apart from the self. Devotee. It is like asking the spectator to act in the cinema picture. Somnambulism seems to be desirable. Mercy, there is the belief that the crow rolls only one iris into either eye to see any object. It has only one iris but two eye sockets. Its sight is manipulated according to its desire. Or again, the elephant has one trunk with which it breathes and does work such as drinking water, etc. Again, serpents are said to use the same apparatus for either seeing or hearing. Similarly, the actions and states are according to one's point of view. Sleep, waking or waking, sleep or dreaming, wakefulness are about the same. Devotee, we have to deal with a physical body in a physical waking world. If we sleep while work is done or work when sleep overtakes us, the work will go wrong. Maharshi, sleep is not ignorance, it is your pure state. Wakefulness is not knowledge, it is ignorance. There is full awareness in sleep, there is total ignorance in waking. Your real nature covers both and extends beyond. The self is beyond knowledge and ignorance. Sleep, dream, and waking are only moods passing before the self. They proceed whether you are aware or not. That is the state of the jnani, in whom pass the states of waking, samadhi, deep sleep, and dream, like the bulls moving, standing, or being unyoked when the passenger is asleep, as aforesaid. These questions are from the point of view of the ajnani. Otherwise, these questions do not arise. Devotee, of course, they cannot arise for the self. Who would be there to ask? But unfortunately, I have not yet realized the self. Maharshi, that is just the obstacle in your way. You must get rid of the idea that you are an ajnani yet to realize the self. You are the self. Was there ever a time when you were apart from the self, devotee? So it is an experiment in somnambulism or in daydreaming. Bhagwan laughed. 3rd January 1937, Drops of Nectar. Talk number 314. In yesterday's answer, Sri Bhagwan said that the self is pure consciousness in deep slumber, and he also indicated the self of the transition from sleep to the waking state as the ideal for realization. He was requested to explain the same. Sri Bhagwan graciously answered, the self is pure consciousness in sleep. It involves as ahem, I, without the idam, this, in the transition state, and manifest as ahem, I, and idam, this, in the waking state. The individual's experience is by means of ahem, I only. So he must aim at realization in the way indicated, that is by means of the transitional I. Otherwise, the sleep experience does not matter to him. If the transitional I be realized, the substratum is found, and that leads to the goal. Again, sleep is said to be ajnana, ignorance, that is only in relation to the wrong jnana, knowledge prevalent in the wakeful state. The waking state is really ajnana, ignorance, and the sleep state is prajna, full knowledge. Prajna is Brahma, says the Shruti. Brahma is eternal. The sleep experiencer is called Prajna. He is Prajanam in all the three states. Its particular significance in the sleep state is that he is full of knowledge. Prajna Ghana. What is Ghana? There are Jnana and Vijnana. Both together operate in all perceptions. Vijnana in the Jagrat is Viparita Jnana, wrong knowledge, that is Ajnana, ignorance. It always coexists with the individual. When this becomes vis- Vispasta Jnana, Vispastajana, clear knowledge, it is Brahma. When wrong knowledge is totally absent, as in sleep, he remains pure prajna only. That is prajna ghana. Aitreya Upanishad says Prajna, Vijnana, Ajnana, Smajna are all names of Brahma. Being made up of knowledge alone, how is he to be experienced? Experience is always with Vijnana. Therefore, the pure eye of the transitional stage must be held for the experience of the Prajnaghana, the eye of the waking state, is impure and is not useful for such experience. Hence, the use of the transitional eye or the pure eye. How is this pure eye to be realized? Viveka Chudamani says Vijnana Kose Vilasa Vilasya Jasaram. He is always shining forth in the intellectual Sita Vijnana Kosha. Tripura Rahasya and other works point out that the internal between the two consecutive sankalpas, ideas or thoughts represent the pure Aham, I. Therefore, holding on to the pure I, one should have the prajna ghana for aim and there is the virati present in the attempt. All these have their proper and respective places and at the same time lead to the realization. Again, the pure self has been described in Viveka Chudamani to be beyond asat. That is different from asat. Here, asat is the contaminated waking I. Asvavilakshana means Sat, that is self of sleep. He is also described as different from Sat and Asat. Both mean the same. He is also a Sesa Sakshi, all seeing witness. In pure, how is he to be experienced by means of the impure eye? A man says, I slept happily. Happiness was his experience. If not, how could he speak of what he had not experienced? How did he experience happiness in sleep if the self was pure? Who is it that speaks of that experience now? The speaker is the Vijnanatma, ignorant self, and he speaks of Prajanatma, pure self. How can that hold? Was this Vijnanatma present in sleep? His present statement of the experience of happiness in sleep makes one in for his existence in sleep. How then did he remain? Surely not as in the waking state. He was there very subtle, exceedingly subtle. Vijnanatma experiences the happy Prajanatma by means of Maya mode. It is like the rays of the moon seen below the branches, twigs, and leaves of a tree. The subtle Vijnanatma seems apparently a stranger to the obvious Vijnanatma of the present moment. Why should we infer his existence in sleep? Should we not deny the experience of happiness and be done with this inference? No, the fact of the experience of happiness cannot be denied. For everyone courts sleep and prepares a nice bed for the enjoyment of sound sleep. This brings us to the conclusion that the cognizer, cognition, and the cognized are present in all the three states, though there are differences in their subtleties. In the transitional state, the ahem I is Suddha pure because idam this is suppressed, ahem I predominates. Why is not that pure I realized now or even remembered by us because of want of acquaintance preach with it. It can be recognized only if it is consciously attained. Therefore, make the effort and gain consciously. Talk number 315. One of the attendants asked Sri Bhagwan has said, reality and myth are both the same. How is it so, Maharshi? The Tantrics and others of the kind condemn Sri Shankara's philosophy as Mayavada without understanding him right. What does he say? He says Brahma is real. Second, the universe is a myth. Third, Brahma is the universe. He does not stop at the second statement but continues to supplement it with the third. What does it signify? The universe is conceived to be apart from Brahma and that perception is wrong. The antagonist point to his illustration of Rajju Sarpa, rope snake. This is unconditioned superimposition. After the truth of the rope is known, the illusion of snake is removed once for all. But they should take the conditioned superimposition also into consideration. That is, for example, Maru Marichika or Mrigtrishna, water of mirage. The mirage does not disappear even after knowing it to be mirage. The vision is there, but the man does not run to it for water. Sri Sankara must be understood in the light of both the illustrations. The world is a myth. Even after knowing it, it continues to appear. It must be known to be Brahma and not apart. If the world appears, yet to whom does it appear? He asks. What is your reply? You must say the self. If not, will the world appear in the absence of the cognizing self? Therefore, the self is the reality. That is his conclusion. The phenomena are real as the self and are myths apart from the self. Now, what do the tantrics etc. say? They say that the phenomena are real because they are part of the reality in which they appear. Are not these two statements the same? That is what I mean by reality and falsehood being one and the same. The antagonists continue with the conditioned as well as the unconditioned illusions considered. The phenomenon of water in mirage is purely illusory because that water cannot be used for any purpose, whereas the phenomenon of the world is different, for it is purposeful. How then does the latter stand on a par with the former? A phenomenon cannot be a reality simply because it serves a purpose or purposes. Take a dream, for example. The dream creations are purposeful, they serve the dream purpose. The dream water quenches dream thirst. The dream creation is, however, contradicted in the waking state. The waking creation is contradicted in the other two states. What is not continuous cannot be real. If real, the thing must ever be real and not real for a short time and unreal at other times. So it is with magical creations, they appear real and are yet illusory. Similarly, the universe cannot be real of itself, that is to say, apart from the underlying reality. Talk number 316. There is fire on the screen in a cinema, so does it burn the screen? There is cascade of water. Does it wet the screen? There are tools. Do they damage the screen? That is why it is said, Ach- Ach- Achedioyam, Adahoyam, Akiladhoyam, etc. Fire, water, etc. are phenomena on the screen of Brahma, that is the self, and they do not affect it. 6th January 1937. Talk number 317. Mr. Parky, many visitors here tell me that they get visions or thought currents from you. I am here for the last month and a half and still I have not the slightest experience of any kind. Is it because I am unworthy of your grace? If so, I feel it disgraceful that I being Vasishta Kula Panna of the lineage of Vasishta should not have your grace while far off foreigners should have it. Will you kindly suggest some Prashchita method of expiation for removing this disgrace? Expiation for removing this disgrace. Maharshi, visions and thought currents are had according to the state of mind. It depends on the individuals and not upon the universal presence. Moreover, they are immaterial. What matters is peace of mind. Devotee, peace of mind is the result of trance. How is trance got? Mercy, trance is only absence of thoughts. That state prevails in sleep. Do you have enduring peace of mind on that account? Devotee, it is said in the journal maintained in the ashram that trance is necessary. Mercy, trance is not something apart of we got anew. Your natural state is that of a trance, devotee, but I do not feel it. Maharshi, the fact of your contrary belief is the obstruction. Devotee, since I have not realized the self, I say that I do not understand my permanent state of trance. Mercy, this is only a repetition. That is the obstruction. This arises because you think that the non-self is you. That is the mistake. Do not take the non-self to be the self. Then the self will be evident to you. Devotee, I understand it theoretically but not practically. Maharshi, there are no two selves. For the self to speak of non-realization of the self. Devotee, it is still theoretical to me. How shall I get the trance? Maharshi, trance is only temporary in its effect. There is happiness so long as it lasts. After rising from it, old vasanas return unless the vasanas are destroyed in Sahaja Samadhi. Effortless Samadhi, there is no good of trance. Devotee, but trance must precede Sahaja Samadhi. Mercy, trance is the natural state, although there are activities and phenomena, yet they do not affect the trance. If they are realized to be not apart from the self is realized. Where is the use of trance unless it brings about enduring peace of mind? Know that even now you are in trance, whatever happens, that is all. Devotee, but how shall I do it? A scholar remarked, Yato vacho nivartante aprapaya manasaha. Where words fail to reach along with the mind, the questioner retorted, it is also said, mansa seva apatvayam, to be realized with the mind only. Mercy, yes, the pure mind, that is the mind free from thoughts is the self. The pure mind is beyond the impure mind. Devotee, seen with the subtlest of subtle intellect by subtle seers. Mercy, what was said of mind applies to this also. Devotee, if trance be my natural state, why is it said that trance is necessary to be got before realization? Mercy, that means that one should be aware of his eternal state of trance. Inattentiveness is said to be ignorance. Parm- Parmado vai mrityuhu. Inattention is death itself. Devotee, how can I be attentive without getting trance beforehand? Mercy, very well. If you are so anxious for trance, any narcotic will bring it about. Drug habit will be the result and not liberation. There are vasanas in the latent state, even in the trance, the vasanas must be destroyed. Another devotee, can there be self-realization before the vasanas are entirely destroyed? Mercy, there are two kinds of vasanas. Number one, bandha hetu, causing bondage for the ignorant, and second, bhoga hetu, giving enjoyment for the wise. The latter do not obstruct realization. Devotee are the self-realized person reborn, for example, Vamdeva, Bhatta, etc. Mercy, the realized ones cannot be reborn. Rebirth is due to vasanas which are binding, but they are destroyed in the state of self-realization. Devotee are we to take it that they had gone to the stage of Kevala Nirvikalpa, but not to Sahaja Nirvikalpa. Maharshi, yes. Devotee, if one vasanas for enjoyment do not obstruct the state of realization, and if one can look upon the events of the world without his state of bliss being disturbed, it means that attachment alone is bondage. Am I right? Maharshi, yes, quiet attachment is bondage. Attachment disappears with the elimination of the ego. Devotee realization is said to be helped by Guru's grace. Maharshi, Guru is none other than the self. Devotee Krishna had a Sandeepani for his Guru, and so Rama had Vasishtha. Maharshi, Guru is said to be external for the seeker. The intern of the mind is brought about by the Guru. Since the seeker is outward bent, he is advised to learn from a Guru whom he will in due course find to be the self. Devotee, may I have Guru's grace? Mercy, grace is always there. Devotee, but I did not feel the same. Mercy, surrender will make one understand the grace. Devotee, I have a surrendered heart and soul. I am the best judge of my heart. Still, I do not feel the grace. Mercy, if you had surrendered, the questions would not arise. Devotee, I have surrendered. Still, the questions arise. Mercy, grace is constant. Your judgment is the variable. Where else should the fault lie? Devotee, I must be unable to surrender myself. Mercy, Thyanu Manovar has said, glory to thee for enabling me to discuss so much and follow thy word so far. 7th January 1937, talk number 318. A Hindi gentleman asked how the fear of death could be got over. Maharshi, find out if you were born before you think of death. Only he who is born could die. You are as good as dead even in sleep. What fear is that of there of death? Devotee, how are we in sleep? Maharshi asked the question. In sleep, you recall the experience of sleep only when you are awake. You recall that state by saying, I slept happily. Devotee, what is the instrument by which we experience that state? Mercy, we call it Maya Karna as opposed to the Antaha Karna to which we are accustomed in our other state. The same instruments are called differently in the different states, even as the Anandatman of sleep is termed the Vijnanatman of the wakeful state. Devotee, please furnish me with an illustration for the Maya Karna experiencing the Ananda. Mercy, how can you say I slept happily? The experience is there to prove your happiness. There cannot be the remembrance in the wakeful state in the absence of the experience in the sleep state. Devotee agreed, but please give me an illustration. Mercy, how can it be described? If you dive into water for recovering an article, you speak of its recovery only after rising out of the water. Why do you not say anything while remaining sunk in water? Devotee, I do not have fear in sleep, whereas I have it now. Mercy, because devotee, Dvitidvi bhavam bhavati. Fear is always of a second one. Of what are you afraid? Devotee, by reason of the perception of the body, the senses, the world, Iswara, doership, enjoyment, etc. Mercy, why do you see them if they cause fear? Devotee, because they are inseparable. Mercy, but it is you who sees them. For whom is the fear? Is it for them? Devotee, no, it is for me. Maharshi, because you see them, you fear them. Do not see them and there will be no fear. Devotee, what then should I do in the waking state? Maharshi, be the self. There will be no second thing to cause you fear. Devotee, yes, now understand. If I see myself, then the sight is warded off the non-self and there is happiness. Yet there is the fear of death. Mercy, only the one who is born should die. See, if you have been born at all in order that death should not threaten you. Talk number 319, Mr. Sridhare, Hindu from Goa, asked, what is Kaushalam skill in yoga karma? So Kaushalam yoga is still in action. How is it that gained Maharshi? Do actions without caring for the result. Do not think that you are the doer. Dedicate the work to God. That is the skill and also the way to gain it. Devotee. Santvam yoga uchyate. Equanimity is yoga. What is that equanimity? Maharshi, it is unity in diversity. The universe is now seen to be diverse. See the common factor sama in all the objects. When that is done, equality in the pairs of opposites. Davani Davani naturally follows. It is the latter which is however spoken of as equanimity ordinarily. Devotee, how is the common factor to be perceived in the diversity? Mercy, the seer is only one. They do not appear without the seer. There is no change in the seer, however much the other way. Other may change. Yoga karmasu kaushalam, skill in work is yoga. Samtav yoga uchyate, equanimity is yoga. Mamekam sarnam varja, only surrender to me. Ekam vedam divityam. Ekam eva divityam, only one without a second, representing karma, yoga, bhakti, and jnana convey the same meaning. They are only the single truth presented in different aspects. Mr. Eknath Rao, is grace necessary for it? Maharshi, yes. How to devotee, how to gain divine grace? Maharshi, by surrender. Devotee, still I do not feel grace. Maharshi, sincerity is wanting. Surrender should not be verbal nor conditional. Passages from Saint Justinian were read out to illustrate these statements. Prayer is not verbal, it is from the heart. To merge into the heart is prayer. That is also grace. The Alvar says, I was all along seeking thee, but on realizing the self, I find you are the self. The self is my all, and so you are my all. Devotee, impurities of limitation, ignorance, and desire, anva, maika, and kamya, place obstacle in the way of meditation. How to conquer them? Mercy, not to be swayed by them. Devotee, grace is necessary. Mercy, yes, grace is both the beginning and the end. Introversion is due to grace, perseverance is grace, and realization is grace. That is the reason for the statement, Mamekam Sarnam Varjaha, only surrender to me. If one has entirely surrendered oneself, is there any part left to ask for grace? He is swallowed up by grace. Devotee, the obstacles are powerful and obstruct meditation. Mercy, if a higher power is recognized and surrendered to, how will they obstruct you? If you say they are powerful, the source of their power must be held so that they do not obstruct you. Talk number 320. In the course of an informal conversation, Sri Bhagwan pointed out that self-realization is possible only for the fit. The vasanas must be eliminated before jnana dawns. One must be like jnana for jnana to dawn. One must be ready to sacrifice everything for the truth. Complete renunciation is the index of fitness. So here I complete this video. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Thanks a lot for watching and listening. Thanks. Namaskar, my dear friends. Namaskar. Video number 19 will start with talk number 321. Thanks a lot. Namaskar. Good, 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 good.